Hi, I'm Ryan Tinsley, and my client is Jared Emery. First, I'm going to talk about the tests I did with my client. The first test I did with my client was a 12-minute Cooper run, which tests the aerobic endurance component of fitness. My client's best score was 17, which compared to norm tables is an excellent score, and the results is a strength for my client, as it will have a positive impact in his sport performance, as he will be able to go for longer at full potential due to good fitness. Although the result was good, there were some factors that could have affected the result on the day. This was the weather, as it was a windy day which could have slowed my client down during his Cooper run. The next test I did with my client was the 30-metre sprint, which tests the speed component of fitness. My client's best score on this test was 4.84 seconds, which compared to norm tables is an average score, and the result could be an area for improvement. It could have a negative impact in his sporting performance, as the opposition players might be able to sprint faster, which means they will be able to get to the ball quicker. The result might have been negative due to the factors on the day, which were the weather, as it was a windy day which could have slowed my client down, and also the surface could have caused him to slip during the sprint. The next test I did with my client was the vertical jump test, which tests the power component of fitness. My client's best score on this test was 45, which compared to results is an average score, and the result is an area for improvement, and it could have a negative impact in his sporting performance, as the opposition might have more power, which means they will be able to jump higher to reach the headers and take the ball away from our client. On the day there was no factors that affected the results, as it was done indoors. The next test I did with my client was the teeth test, which tests the agility component of fitness. My client's best score on this test was 11.32, which compared to norm tables is an excellent score, and the result is a strength for my client, and will only have a positive impact in my client's sporting performance, as he will be able to move fast with the ball in different directions, and also on the day there were some factors that could have affected the result. These were the weather, as it was a windy day which could have slowed my client down, and the next factors was the surface, which could have caused my client to slip during the test. The next test I did with my client was a sit-up test, which tests the muscular endurance component of fitness. My client's best score on this test was 23, which compared to norm tables is an above average score, and the result is a strength for my client and will have a positive impact in my client's sporting performance, as his muscles will be able to go at full potential for longer, which will allow him to reach peak performance for longer periods of time, and also on the day there was no factors that affected the result, as it was done indoors. The final test that I did with my client was the hand grip test, which tests the strength component of fitness. My client's best score on this test was 28, which compared to norm tables is a weak score, and the results is an area for improvement and could have a negative impact in my client's sporting performance, as on the ball other players might be stronger and will be able to knock him off the ball, and he won't be able to stop them. And also on the day there was no factors which affected the result, as it was done indoors. Next, I'm going to talk about the training recommendations I would recommend for my client. The first one will be to improve speed. I would recommend interval training, as it will allow him to train, stop and then continue training, which will allow him to train it to improve and rest for a short time. The frequency of the training I would recommend would be 3 to 5 times a week. This will give him enough time to improve his speed and enough time to rest. The intensity of the training I would recommend will be 220 minus 16, which equals 204. This will be his maximum heart rate, and he should work at 70 to 80% of effort. This will allow him to work hard and improve and to work for 25 to 40 minutes per session, and the type of training is continuous. The next training recommendation will be to improve power. I would recommend resistance training, as it will allow him to train against the resistance and try to beat it, and he will know if he is improving. The frequency of the training I would recommend will be 2 to 4 times a week. This will give him enough time to improve his power, but also enough time to rest. The intensity of this training I would recommend will be again 220 minus 16, which equals 204, which again will be his maximum heart rate, and again to work at 70 to 80%, which will allow him to work hard and also improve, and to work for 25 to 40 minutes per session, and the type of training is again continuous. The final training recommendation I'm going to recommend will be to improve strength. I would again recommend resistance training, as it will allow him to train against this resistance and try to beat it, and he will be able to know if he is improving. The frequency of the training I would recommend would be 2 to 4 times a week. This will give him enough time to improve his strength, but also enough time to rest. The intensity of the training I would recommend will be 220 minus 16, which equals 204, which will be his maximum heart rate. and again to work at 70 to 80%, which will allow him to work hard and improve, and to work for 25 to 40 minutes per session, and the type of training is again continuous.